Hey guys, this is Brian at Obedia, and we're going to talk today about making use of virtual instruments in Pro Tools and some of the various ways that we can approach using virtual instruments in Pro Tools. Virtual instruments are, of course, a great, easy way to get all kinds of awesome sounds into your production without any external hardware, and you're really only limited by what virtual instruments you have installed on your system. There's a couple different ways that we can work with virtual instruments in Pro Tools. The first way to work with a virtual instrument in Pro Tools is to click on Track and select New. Now, in my New Tracks dialog box, I'm going to click on the Track Type pull-down menu and select the option, in this case for Instrument Track, and I'll click Create. Now I've created a new instrument track. An instrument track is essentially a MIDI track that can have a virtual instrument immediately assigned to it. So in the Insert section for my track right here, I can click an open block, go to the pull down, go to Plugin, go to Instrument, and select a new virtual instrument. Now I've got the native instruments FM8 instantiated on this track. Now if I have a external MIDI keyboard connected, I can play this instrument using my MIDI keyboard, or I can manually enter my notes for this MIDI track by selecting the pencil tool. And then I can simply draw notes in onto my MIDI track. So there you go. That's an easy way that you can quickly go ahead and jump right into making use of virtual instruments in Pro Tools. Now, there is another way that we can use these virtual instruments. I'm going to go ahead and delete this track, which I previously created. And now, again, I'm going to click on Track and select New. This time, I'm going to firstly create a MIDI track and hit Create. Here's a brand new MIDI track. You're going to notice that a MIDI track does not allow you to have inserts on it. That's because a MIDI track only houses MIDI playback data. It only houses the notes that I would like to have played back into a virtual instrument or something like that. So if I start to draw notes, you notice I'm not hearing anything right now. I'm seeing some output on my output level meter, but I'm not hearing anything. That's because I haven't yet routed the MIDI output of this track to a virtual instrument. So I need to create a track with a virtual instrument on it. I'm going to click on Track again, select New. This time in my track type, I'm going to select AUX input. And again, click on Create. You can also select if you want this to be mono or stereo. I'll go ahead and select stereo. Click on Create, and now I have a new AUX track. Now, AUX tracks, as you can see, do allow me to have inserts on them. So I'm going to click an open slot. I'll go ahead and go to Multi-Channel Plugins, scroll down, I'll go to Instrument, and again, I'm going to select FM8 Stereo, and I'll find a sound that I like. All right, that'll work. So now I have a virtual instrument, and all I need to do is route the MIDI output of my MIDI track to my virtual instrument. I'm going to go into my mix window, and now in my mix, I'm going to select to send the output of my MIDI track to the virtual instrument track which I have created. So under the I/O section, click. And now you'll see an option for any virtual instruments which you currently have instantiated in your track. In my case, I only have FM8. So I'm going to go to FM8 and select Channel 1. And now I'm routing the MIDI output of this MIDI track to my FM8 virtual instrument. So if I hit play, there you go. That's the MIDI output of my MIDI track being sent into my virtual instrument, which is on my auxiliary track. So this is two ways that you can go about doing this, and there's various advantages to each way. A simple instrument track is great because it's just very quick. It's easy to leap right in, instantiate a new instrument track, add a virtual instrument on it, and just start programming your MIDI. However, it's really nice to make use of bare bones MIDI tracks and send the output of your MIDI track out to your various instruments, because this way you can program your MIDI and then you can decide to send that MIDI output to different instruments and allow to audition new virtual instruments and decide what sounds you would like to use in your production. So 2 different ways of approaching virtual instruments and their usage in Pro Tools really just depends on what you feel the most comfortable with and what you find the most useful for you in your own productions as you work in Pro Tools. So I hope you guys find this useful. As always, please stay in touch with me. My email address is brian@obedia.com. Get me on Twitter at twitter.com/obediatutor and on Facebook at facebook.com/obediatutor. Give us a call. Work with an audio tutor just like myself, one-on-one, 7 days a week, and find out how we can help you to tame your technology, which is what we do best here at Obedia. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.